That's right. I've had my son run in after bath time, buck naked, and try to hop on the mic. Yes, here we go. We jinxed it. Yeah, so don't worry. But that's the editing process. It's all good, man. He's bobbing his head. I like the energy already. Don't be afraid to spit some bars if you feel like so, sir.
that's just in the shower, man.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Looking forward to this episode of A Hoops Journey. Not a man I want to say slept on, but a man I want to bring back to the Canadian people. This makes me feel really old as I look at him aging very well. He doesn't know, but when I was a young buck, starting out my coaching career and had the opportunity to coach the BC team, he did some damage on us at the U17 Nationals. Yeah, at the Canada Games. Yeah. And kind of had my eye on this name since then because I was so impressed with his skill set and his ability to play the game. And this is going to be fun. We're in the middle of March Madness. We have a former Syracuse Orangeman with us, sixth man of the year, first team all Big East, made the tournament 3 times, I believe. Four. There we go. Drafted in the NBA, a real hoops journey, all the way down to Maine and the Red Claws to overseas. And now the cool part, if you follow him on his Instagram, giving back to the game and getting involved in the coaching. So, he's got that sickness that we all do because only this. But we have none other than Mr. Kris Joseph with us today. How are you, sir?
Good, man. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate coming on. I appreciate you bringing me down memory lane too. Those Canada games were amazing. So just you saying BC, of course, Rob Sacre was my guy, still is to this day. So you bringing that up really brought me back there.
Yeah, man. Shout out Big Robbie. He was so fun to have on the team. What a character that guy is.
I could imagine. I already know. Rob is the man. Seriously, he really is.
Yeah, he's a good dude. And then it's your fault. You messaged us when you heard the episode from Olga, the legend herself. And then I was like, man, we've got to get this guy on. So how's life, man? How's life treating you? It's been a pretty wild 1.5, 2 years for everyone. You got a young family. How have you been able to find balance and what's going on in your life these days?
I can't complain, man. First and foremost, I'm healthy. My kids are healthy. My fiance, she's healthy. So that's first and foremost. So I'm happy about that. You mentioned, it being wild the last couple of years, and you're right. Everybody had to make adjustments. I remember when I was in France playing in Pro B when, COVID broke out initially, and I was stuck there for a while because all the flights going back into Canada were canceled. So it was kind of wild for a bit. I was fortunate enough to, that following year get a gig playing in Spain in the second division in Spain. So that was cool. I wasn't expecting to go anywhere because I was actually hurt that year in France, and I was able to pick back up and play. But today, I'm doing well. I do a little bit of podcasting, I guess, myself. Me and former Syracuse alum Eric Devendorf have the Devo show that we got going on Q Sports Talk. So that's pretty cool, especially during the season when we could recap games and, speak to some of the guys. And we have guests on. We had Hakeem Warwick, of course, who, like you mentioned, the NCAA tournament is going on. He had the historic, iconic block against Kansas to seal the deal in 2003. We had one of my favorite rappers on there, Jadakiss, on there. And he's a big Syracuse fan. So having him on there was super, super dope. So I'm just kind of figuring things out. I think my playing days are behind me now, unless something spectacular, fantabulous comes up. You know what I mean? And I go back overseas or I go somewhere in Asia. But for now, I'm looking ahead, and I'm, like you mentioned, giving back to the game that gave so much to me, opened so many doors for me. So I'm training kids here in Montreal. I train kids, Kris Joseph Hoops. I'm going to be coaching AAU this summer with the Red Rush program, who was, created by this guy named Denberg Reed, who went to McGill University. I'm sure Olga knows him as well, but a legend here in Montreal. So just really jumping into the coaching thing, man. And I'm enjoying it, giving back to the game. It's really the gratification for that is huge. You know what I mean? It was one thing playing, you feel good playing, but giving back and seeing the light bulb click in a youngster's head, I never thought of it this way. And just them seeing small details. And again, me being able to play as much basketball as I did in so many different places, learned, was coached by so many great coaches. All this knowledge is in my head, and it's only right that I give it back.
Good for you, man. Pay it forward. Loving the energy. Can people find your podcast on any platform, or is it a specific thing? Like, where can people go and listen? I'd love to hear the Jada Kiss. I mean, I'm a huge hip hop guy, so
Yeah.
ha
Yep, that's my guy.
yeah.
So it's
That's cool,
so it
man.
streams on Twitch, right? So you could go on qsportstalk.com and and then you'll see there. Oh, there's a few different shows that play under that, I guess.
Handle.
Exactly, right? So there's different shows, but Eric Devendorf for myself is called The Devo Show, and you saw qsportstalk.com, and the shows are usually there. They don't get erased, so you could go back and watch all the episodes that you missed from the beginning. We were doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday once the season started, but now we only do Wednesdays, right? So, that's fine. Like next week, we should have Patrick Ewing Jr. on there, who, of course, we say that we inherited the beef of Syracuse Georgetown. I mean, he literally inherited that beef, you know what I'm saying, with his pops, who his pops was. So we'll have him on there next week. And, it's fun. It's fun just being able to talk basketball. It's like talking to your friend in the living room and recapping the game, just talking some crap, talking some shit a little bit.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's cool. I know Big Robbie's got one too, Sack and Jack or whatever. So they're all pro Gonzaga, right? So, and it's cool to have people that were in these systems and in it, because you can have all these media people talking about it, but the guys that actually have lived these moments, I don't know, for me, when I hear those people, like when I listen to Knuckleheads or JJ Redick or All the Smoke, like those are the dudes, right? And it's cool, man. And it's awesome that in 2022 we have these platforms for people like yourself to do it, right? And 100%. Continued success with that, man. That's cool.
Yeah. No, I like you hit it on the nose, because like I like to say, to fans or whoever it may be, it's like, not only did we play, but we played for Syracuse. So one, we know Coach Boeheim on a different level than the average fan would, and we understand the intricacies of the zone, for instance, and why certain things are working versus why they're not. So, like you said, being able to, we weren't just in the kitchen, we were cooking. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
It's definitely a difference maker.
For all the Twitter fingers out there, why can't they get? How come they won't guard the high post, man? The high post is wide open in the zone.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Put the Twitter on mute for the night. Yeah. Well, let's jump into it, man. Tell the people about yourself as a young buck growing up, your situation, and then how basketball sort of started to come into your life a little bit.
All right. So growing up, Montreal, Quebec, not by no stretch of the imagination was it a basketball city, especially, in the early 90s or throughout the 90s when I was growing up. So I initially started, like any younger brother, just following my older brother Maurice around. And at the time he was like,
hang on. Whoa. Maurice Joseph is your brother?
Yeah, that's my older brother. Yep.
Dawson College, Maurice Joseph?
Champlain College, yep. Champlain. He went to Champlain, Michigan State, Vermont, coaching at Richmond now. Yeah.
Man, we should have done more homework. We were too busy thinking about you. Anyways, I played at Langara. We used to rival Dawson, Prosper, Croangwell, and all those guys, right?
Yeah, well, no, that's Mario Joseph.
Big Dawson. Mario. He's coaching at
UCAM.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yep, so he's coaching UCAM. So Mojo, my brother. So, I grew up following him around. So whatever he was doing, at some point he was big into street hockey. So guess what? I was into street hockey myself. So we'd go out there, get the little sticks from wherever with the plastic, bend them real nice, you know what I mean? And get going. And then we always, cause again, I have to make the point again that Montreal wasn't a big basketball city at all. So initially, we started off with the street hockey. I had a mean slap shot, little wrist shot going as a youngster. But, that didn't last, right? So my brother, we ended up starting to play like 21, one-on-one on these garbage cans in our elementary schoolyard, where we would dump out all the trash. Sorry for the littering, but we would dump out all the trash and just get to shooting the ball in the trash can. And finally, I guess the principal or whoever it is that's in charge ended up, we used to have these rims that you could like hook on to the wall. So the bare concrete wall was the backboard. And we just they put a little square metal thing where you could just slide the net in, and that was our hoop eventually. So we could jump off the wall and dunk and stuff like that, right? And then when they saw how dangerous it was, because now we're playing 3-on-3 and there's a brick wall right there, right? They said, okay, let's take off one of these dodgeball courts or whatever you want to call it and set up a full court, in the schoolyard. So I'd like to say that, my brother, myself, and all the guys that were playing basketball are the ones who forced their hand into giving us a basketball court in our schoolyard. So, again, my brother taught me the game. So if anybody asks me till this day, I tell people he's my idol. You know what I mean? Because he was, the one that I looked up to. He showed me the game. I'd follow him around. We would be watching NBA on NBC, Michael Jordan. Then he introduced me to Kobe and the Lakers. So I'm forever indebted to him in that sense, where he put the love of the game inside me. You know what I mean? Like, he's the one that made me watch hoops and made me fall in love with the game, just seeing how he played it, how passionate he was about it. So I grew up playing for this organization, this city league team called Sun Youth Organization out here in Montreal. We in here in Montreal, we have mini, bantam, midget, and juvenile. So mini is when you just first start out. So it's like 9 to, I guess, 11 or so. Then you got bantam, 12 to 14, then midget and juvenile. I started playing in that. Two of my good friends who I grew up with, they played for that Sun Youth Organization, and they asked me one summer we played at Hoop It Up, right?
Yes.
So we played at Hoop It Up in Montreal, and we called ourselves, which is a terrible name, by the way, but our names are, it was Kenny, Kevin, and Chris, so we called ourselves the KKK. So that was not the greatest name, right? wasn't the greatest name back then. As youngsters, we didn't know much about what that really stood. Yeah. We didn't know anything. It's like, oh, that's a cool name. Like, that was it. But later on, we kind of realized that wasn't the way to go. But so that fall, Hoop It Up is in the summer. That fall, they bring me to Sun Youth, and it's like participation rule when you start off in mini. So the coach has to play you. They have to, it's like 8-minute quarters at that time, but at 4-minute mark every quarter you got to switch lineup. So you're forced to play. Bantam is the same thing, but when you get to juvenile, participation rule is out the window. Like, coaches want to, I guess, win at that point. You're no longer trying to, like, here, this is how you do a left hand layup, right hand layup. Like, nah, no more pats on the back for doing things that they want to win. So at 14, I go to Sun Youth. I'm thinking, I've been a part of this program for 4 years. I mean, I should be a lock to just keep playing, and this is where I'm going to continue playing my basketball. I end up getting cut. Well, unofficially, I get cut from that team because the coach at the time, Jamie Woods, shout out to Jamie Woods. And by shout out, it's not a real one. You know what I mean? But shout out to Jamie Woods, because you know what? He did put the battery in my back. I could
tell the smirk. I could tell by the smirk.
Yeah. He cuts me, or he says, Chris, man, you're just not, I'm going to be honest with you, you're not going to play unless we're up by a lot or down by a lot. And that's the only time you'll get in the game. And in my mind, I'm like, that doesn't sound right. And I don't think that I would like that. You know what I mean? To be like, in my mind, like, be a practice player or whatever it is at that age. It just didn't make sense to me. So I declined his offer or his deal, whatever it is. And I said, it's okay. I'll go play high school basketball solely at that point. But within that year, right, I end up growing like 2 to 3 inches. So I go maybe from like 6'2" to 6'4", 6'5" as well. So the following year, I go back to Sun Youth. I make the team, but I didn't stay. It was just kind of like, I came back, I made the team, and I said, you know what? I'm leaving. I don't even like, exactly. It was just kind of to prove a point. So I end up going to play. It's like leaving Syracuse to go play at Georgetown. I end up going to Dawson Community, right? So I go to play for them, and that's where things kind of took off for me at that point in time. And I grew another maybe 2 inches between those years, between 14 and 16 or so. I was growing quick, you know what I mean? And then basketball in Montreal at some point, with basketball was one thing, but then there was the school system that was kind of kicking my ass a bit, right? And the French was getting to me. Then I wasn't having as much fun playing basketball because I felt like, all right, I need another challenge of some sort, And I was granted the opportunity to go play basketball in the States, and I finished off my high school in the States, and I don't want to move too fast, just so that you want to plug some questions in there. But so I leave Montreal and I go to DC for 2 years, and that's where the next chapter, I guess, of my young basketball career started.
Crazy, man. So along that, it seems like things started to happen pretty quick for you. How were you able to take that all in, and sort of, what did you lean on your brother? And I also find it interesting too, when we're young, and so many people we've had on this show talk about, it wasn't the NBA players. It was this pocket of guys that were 2-3 years older than me that I would just tag along with. Those were my heroes, right? Those were the guys that I wanted to emulate and be like. So as things are starting to move forward from you, from getting cut to, whoa, I'm playing on the rival, and you're probably starting to gain some attention, and your name's getting thrown around. How does one sort of work through all that and keep a level head and stay focused on what they want?
Again, man, I have to give all the credit to my brother because, he was, he went to Champlain St. Lambert. Like, if you talk about basketball in Montreal at that point, you cannot say, you have to say my brother's name first and foremost. That he might be very humble, and we consider ourselves very humble young men. But honestly speaking, if we're going to call a spade, he was Montreal basketball at a point. Because of him and because he was getting recruited, he kind of, he was going to ABCD camp, Nike camp, Adidas. He was getting these calls to go to these camps, so I was able to see that. So I always had like a blueprint kind of right there in front of me, or on top. We shared a bunk bed. So he was right there, every night I'm going to say, I see him coming back home with gear from ABCD camp, and gear is everything, you know what I mean? So him being who he was and being able to keep me level headed. So even when I got to DC, he was at Michigan State at this point, and obviously I had never been through the recruiting process, things of that nature. Just getting my first letter, we all knew, you watched Through the Fire, Sebastian Telfair. You watch these documentaries, or you see these movies, Blue Chips, whatever the case may be, and you see, okay, this is how it works. You get college, colleges are interested. But in Montreal, I don't know if it's like that everywhere in Canada, but for sure in Montreal, these thoughts are so far beyond our imagination. Who's getting a letter from Montreal? It was just weird. It didn't happen very often. We weren't like a BC, or we didn't have guys, or like Toronto, obviously, guys going to play Division I basketball, high Division I basketball, right? No notable guys except who was his name, Bill Wellington, but he went to St. John's, and he, obviously world champion in the NBA and stuff like that. But we weren't able to reach that, touch him, and you know what I mean? So it was very different.
Can we talk about, you mentioned the school system. Can we talk about how y'all cheat with the grade 13, man, CEGEP?
What's that? That CEGEP? Yeah, I still to this day don't understand because.
So did you leave in your senior year? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I left, so I didn't play CEGEP ball. So I do know that a lot of people consider it a little cheat year, not a gap year, not elite. No, it's just a cheat year so you could get extra schooling. But yeah,
is that the reason why that you left? Was because obviously you felt going down to the States was going to be better for your career and you'd get exposed to more? Was that the main reason? Was that and how? No, what was that process like? Because you're not old, but you're not. You're not young anymore. So this is still a new thing for someone like yourself. And how do you know that going to Washington, D.C. is the right move for you? And how do you feel comfortable? Because that's a big jump for someone your age, right? At such a young age to trust a whole bunch 16. Of other people. Yeah.
I was 16 years old, so I was young. I just knew, honestly speaking, that if I stayed in Montreal, it wasn't going to be good for me. You know what I mean? And I tried to leave to go to D.C. the year before. But I was 15. My mom wasn't having it. And I literally begged her for a whole year, from 15 to 16. Literally, just was like, I have to leave, please. You have to trust me. I know it's hard I have kids of my own, today, and I can't imagine my son or my daughter saying to me at the age of 15, 16 years old that they want to leave to go to another country, not just another city within Canada or whatever the case. They want to leave and go to another country, and I have to let another family care for them. You know what I mean? So it was really, shout out to my mom, seriously, because she is the one who had to okay the move, or else she could have been, she if she said no, it was no. There was no fighting her about it.
Yeah.
But she, it was many nights talking to her, explaining to her while I was crying, tears in my eyes, just imagining my life if I stayed in Montreal. It was a scary thought. At 16, I'm like, listen, it was a mix of the French school system was not for me. And this is outside of basketball.
Is that common?
It is.
I was wondering that. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's obviously easier for, I guess. And I mean, even if you grow up and French is what you grew up speaking in the household, it's still hard for some of those guys,
Yeah, fair enough.
So even outside of basketball, it was one thing that I felt like I've surpassed the Montreal talent pool, and I wanted a new challenge for myself. But even getting, you're 16 years old, you're hanging out, you might be getting into some stuff that you shouldn't be. It was just bad crowd, et cetera, et cetera. I still had that presence of mind to know that, okay, this, whatever is going on is not for me. I had the blueprint right in front of me, my brother who was at this point at Michigan State. So it was no reason for me to sway away from what I know is right for me, right? So once I explained it to her, she finally said yes. It was still tough, homesick again, mind you. I'm going to a family who doesn't know me. I don't know them. Like, I just know that the school found me a family. And at that point, shout out to Simona. That was her name, Simona Mayfield. She accepted because she was like the team mom, right?
Mm.
That's what they called them. She was like the one, like she would cook meals on game days for the whole team, and so she was a team mom. So that initially they asked her if she would like to take in a Canadian. And she tells the story that she thought I was going to show up to the school. She thought I was white. She thought I was a white kid because like they didn't, I guess like it was so, to me, it's so ignorant, right? But not her, but just the American, like their way of thinking. Like, do you live in an igloo? You know how many times I heard, do I live in an igloo? You know what I mean? I'm sure you've, and I'm sure you've heard it a lot of times too. So little things like that, she thought, so for me to leave and go there, I'm nervous. I'm homesick. I'm leaving I'm still a baby now thinking back. I'm still a baby for real. But I just knew that was the move that I had to make in order to make my dreams or whatever I had in my mind like a reality. Because I'll take you back a few years before that. I'm 14 years old playing for this. The RCMP had an AAU basketball program called the Bisons. So I'm there. We're at a practice one day, and I'm 14 years old. That's when I get my first little growth spurt. That summer, I go play for the Bisons. I'm 6'4", 6'5". And at this point, Carmelo. Now, for those who think that when I say Melo, I'm talking about LaMelo Ball, just in case of the, I don't know which age. No, I was talking about Carmelo Anthony, right?
The triple OG, yeah.
Exactly. So I'm 14 and I'm talking to my homeboy, Kasani, and I tell him, we had just lost. We're playing pickup during practice or whatever it was, and we just lost. So our team's on the side, and we're sitting on the mats. Like, there's some mats, and we're sitting down. I remember it like it was yesterday. I turned to him random. I'm like, yo, so this is my exact words. I'm like, yo, bro, I'm going to go to Syracuse one day, right? So when I say he bust out laughing.
He's putting it lightly.
Yeah, exactly. He's laughing like I'm talking, holding his stomach. He's like, and then he really says, so once he gets past the joke, he says to me as serious as can be, he's like, how the you think you're going to get to Syracuse from here? Right? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm going to go. Like, so it's funny. So shout out to my man, my man Suave. That's what we call him, Nico Suave. But so when I first get to Syracuse, when I go to DC, that was one thing. But when I commit to Syracuse, he was one of the first people I called. And he just couldn't believe it. He's like, you told me this 3 years ago or however many years ago it was at the time that I committed. So just to show you, even your friends, you tell your friends, someone who I love, they'll laugh at you because back then anyway, because it just doesn't seem, it's not realistic, right? That was just my fault. I had to rewind one time, but
no.
So I get to DC.
I love it.
I get to DC and it's a whole new world, obviously, but I know I'm there. For me, it was like I'm there on a mission. I understand that I'm staying with people I don't know. I'm not a hard kid to like, I'm respectful. I grew up, my parents raised me well. I knew there wouldn't be no problems in the household, but I was nervous, let's just say, about the hoops. Because I played in the States a couple of times growing up, but now I'm going to be there for a whole season and I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm playing in the WCAC, which at the time, maybe still today, is regarded as, one of the best high school leagues in the East Coast, right? So you got DeMatha Catholic, you got St. John's, you got Paul VI. These teams, this conference breeds like 12 to 15 D1 guys a year and maybe 5 McDonald's All-Americans, Vic Oladipo, Quinn Cook, Austin Freeman, just a bunch of guys, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, how am I going to hold my own here? Because I know it was one thing. I wanted this. I wanted out of Montreal because I felt it was too easy for me and I wasn't getting any better. So I needed a new challenge. So I go there and now I'm fully grown. I'm 6'7", 6'6", 6'7" now at this point. And our first practice or summer league game, because they do summer league. We had summer league at Georgetown and we would play games. And I said, okay, well, this is my team. We had a guy, Rodney Magruder, who currently plays for the Detroit Pistons. We had a good team, good point guards, but Rodney was my guy, the other guy, like the 1-2 punch. We had a couple guys go Division II. But, of course, naturally, the hate comes. Like, nobody wants a Canadian to
Who's
come
this
to
French
America.
Canadian kid, man?
Yeah, who is this guy? You know what I mean? So the hate was there, and I had to get through that stuff. But at the end of the day, once that was over with, and they realized I'm only here to win. I'm not trying to take shine away from anybody. I came here with a goal in mind for myself. I want to win. Like, I hate losing. So we got together, and I remember my first, Gonzaga. Shout out to, I forget what was his name, Coach Lloyd or something like that. Tommy Lloyd,
Tommy Lloyd.
maybe. Tommy
Yeah,
Lloyd.
he's the head coach of Arizona now.
Oh wow.
First year, yeah. Yeah, he's with Gonzaga
Wow. Okay.
forever.
Yeah. Shout out
Yeah.
to Tommy Lloyd. He was the first one to come by and show interest, right? So because the tie between Gonzaga and Montreal, I guess, is because we had Pierre-Marie Altidore Cespedes
Yes.
that went there. P-Mac went there before he transferred to Marshall, I think it was he went to. But P-Mac, shout out to P-Mac, another legend. So I guess me being in DC, being in the States now, he came down to visit. We spoke for a bit and he showed interest. And I guess the way it works is if one team shows interest in somebody, I'm not sure if they are obligated to say something, but that's what started happening. So right away, after a few summer league games, then Clemson came about. Then I had West Virginia at the gym and all these Big East schools. So like you said, this is still very fresh for me. It's still happening at a very high pace, very fast. And I'm like, almost like you got teams like Clemson saying, oh, well, we're the first team to offer you a scholarship, so you have to commit to us. In my mind, I knew that didn't sound right. Like, shouldn't I be waiting for more scholarship? But again, I had my brother who I could call, and I said, bro, they're saying that I have to commit. Do I? Like, I have no idea how this works. Like, do I have to commit because they're the first team? And he's like, hell no, they're not. You don't have to commit. You know what I mean? Like, you better wait because there's going to be all these teams. And when he asked me, where do you want to go? I said, honestly, I want to go to Syracuse. Like, at that point, I wasn't sure if I wanted to go to Syracuse because Melo was my favorite player. Was it because when I watched those games at the Dome and the fans were going crazy? Like, what was it that made me, I was drawn to Syracuse since, like I said, at 14 or 13 years old, I was drawn to Syracuse. And that's where I envisioned myself when I would, play the video game, March Madness video game. I'd create a player. He was on Syracuse. You know what I mean? Like, there was no way around it. I had to go to Syracuse. If it's one of those things where people say you have to, believe it to achieve it or, speak things into existence, I mean, that's literally what it was.
No, I hear you, man. To age you, well, so I'm Florida, but Hughes is like I always loved Syracuse, but for me, it was Derek Coleman, Ronnie Cycli, Sherman Douglas, right? Those guys, man. Yeah,
John Wallace, and shout out to the Cuse, man. That love that we have, that brotherhood, like when they used to come back to school, and even till this day, being able to talk to those guys, Lawrence Moulton, John Wallace, Derek Coleman. When you see them, it's all love. Like, it's those alum, like they mean everything to me till this day. You know what I mean? They gave me so much game, so many gems, how to succeed at the college level. I guess because, once they see the potential, obviously they're looking at their school, their alma mater, and they want to see who's doing well, who's there. They take a liking to you and they take you under their wing. It's amazing.
Yeah, man. I think it's very cool. As funny as the story is about you and your buddy just sitting there and you say in Syracuse. So how did you maintain that? And it's no surprise. I mean, anybody that gets to the level that you're at, they have like an extreme inner confidence, right? And a swagger about themselves, whether it's shown or just internalized. Like people like yourself just think differently, And then between 14 and 17 and actually getting to the cues, is it writing things on the wall? Is it just a mental thing 24/7? Like, this is what I want. Just want to dig into your brain and your mentality from there out to, I know you said speak into existence, but how does that continue for you? And how do you stay hungry on that path?
Well, because like I said, so getting there, Tommy Lloyd giving me that first taste of, you want more of it. You taste blood, you want more, right?
Yeah.
So he's a large part to play because, I could have went to DC and nothing maybe nothing happens. Maybe I don't pan out. Maybe I can't. The level I thought I was at was not the level that I really was at, because it's one thing you're playing in Montreal and you feel like you're dominant. Going to the States where you got McDonald's All-Americans, and that could be intimidating, I guess, at that point, because I never played against or with a McDonald's All-American or against you know what I mean? So where you have 16, 15-year-olds like on a weightlifting program. I never lifted weights in Montreal, you know what I mean? So it was very different. But again, getting that first taste, Tommy Lloyd showing interest, Clemson offering, having those schools come to the gym, and I knew they were coming to the gym for me, having Big John Thompson, come to the gym and, with the towel and all that and just being there. And I knew, because he went to Archbishop Carroll, which is the high school I went to. So, and Georgetown was literally down the road. So him coming there and coming to see me and trying to persuade me to come and play for his son, JT3, and I'm like, this is amazing. Like, this is crazy. Like, this is beyond my wildest dreams and it's, again, happening very fast, but I had to stay grounded and kind of always had my brother to always, all right, should I do this? What's this? Is this true? How does it work? When a coach says this, are they being truthful? Is that just part of recruiting? So I was able to go to him, and he was able to give me all the answers I was looking for.
And you just imagine your mom pulling on your ear too.
Yeah, and that was big time. But things happen. Honestly, I can't say I believe in coincidence and things like that, but things happen the way they're supposed to happen. Because when I was playing in that WCAC, a former Syracuse player, Red Autry, Adrian Autry, his real name, but Coach Red was coaching a team. I think he coached at Bishop Ironton, if I'm not mistaken. So we played Bishop Ironton. I don't know Coach Red from a can of paint at the time, right? And like I said, so I go there and I'm waiting for Syracuse in my mind. If I don't get a scholarship from Syracuse, I'm just not going anywhere. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm going to just quit basketball.
So I'm just quit basketball. I don't even want to play no more. So we play against Bishop Ironton, and I have a triple-double against Bishop Ironton. So he calls Coach Murphy, who's the assistant at Syracuse at the time, and says, I think we got one. He's 6'7", long, prototypical zone guy, right? He's athletic. He can do this down the third. So that's how Syracuse gets on the rate, gets to be interested in recruiting me. It was because...
Isn't it funny how it works?
It's amazing. It's fun, man. It's crazy. So
I tell these kids all the time, man. I mean, you just never know who's looking, right? You know what I mean? Like you never, and especially for yourself. I mean, for us here, if we got a kid who's getting recruited to play, CIS or U Sport, but still with the online availability, I'm like,
no doubt,
you can't take a possession off. These coaches are watching body language. They're watching it all, right?
Everything.
And you're every day. It's like you're on the show, right? You got to put work in because it might be a 3-minute interval of you going back and forth with bad body language, and that coach is like, I don't know if he's for us, right? It's crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a cool
something
story.
You said was Lawrence Moulton always used to say, every day is an audition. You know what I mean? He would say every day is an audition, whether it's practice, whether it's pickup, whether it's whatever. Every day is an audition. So you got to make sure you wake up with that mindset that don't matter who's there watching. It doesn't matter who you think is there watching, because there could be, there's undercover cops, there's undercover recruiters. They dressed in regular clothes. Like, you don't know who's in the gym, right? So every day is an audition. So that's how I get on.
Shout out Lawrence Moulton, by the way.
Shout out Lil Moulton, man.
Former Vancouver Grizzly.
Bucket. Yep.
Poetry.
Bucket.
Yeah,
poetry
he was.
Motion. Yeah, man, he's a bucket. So that's how Syracuse gets on the radar.
Cool.
And like the rest is history as far as like going there. I was ready to commit as soon as they called me,
You try to play it cool?
The story. Oh, I tried. But my coach at Carroll, Coach Perot, he knew how much I wanted to go to Syracuse because I had voiced that. At this point, I knew that I was bringing a lot of attention to the school. I get there, we ended up getting like a Nike, going into my second year. So I did 2 years there. Last years. My second year, we get like a Nike sponsorship and things like that. So obviously, we had a lot of attention.
You guys are nice.
And we got right, man. Me and Rodney Magruder, we were putting in work. But shout out to RG. So the day happens. He tells me, hey Chris, man, after practice, I need you to come to my office immediately. I'm like, damn, I know I didn't do nothing bad at school today. So what could this be about? You know what I mean? Like, I was cool, no detention, no demerit points, no nothing. So I go to his office. And he goes into his drawer and he pulls out an orange envelope. Now, I know Clemson been on my case for a little bit, but then the only other orange school in my mind was Syracuse. So when he hands it to me and I flip it over and I see the navy blue shiny F's on there, I said, oh my God, this can't be real. All that was an interest letter. But to me, that meant the world. You know what I mean? That meant the world. So that the fact that Coach Rob Murphy took the time, he wrote a letter, which obviously now I know he probably sent 100 of those out weekly. Who knows, right? But I got one. That
moment didn't matter. It did not matter at that moment.
So, so I got that letter. I was excited. I was smiling from ear to ear. And from that point on, like, he was really, on me. Coach Murphy was on me. He would call. I spoke to Coach Boeheim on the phone. And little did they know, I was just waiting on them to send the offer through, because I was committed no matter what was going on. I had no idea if they're what the playing time situation would be like. Nothing. I just knew. I said at 14, 13 years old, I was going to Syracuse. Here this moment is 4 years later. I gotta go there. There's no, if I have to transfer at some point, I'll transfer, but I'm going to Syracuse.
what's an initial phone call like with Coach Jim Boeheim as a
Oh man,
17-year? Is it, yeah, your heart's racing, you hear that
heart's
voice
racing.
like, hey Chris, how
You
you
want to
doing?
say
You're
the
like,
right thing.
try not
Exactly.
to pass out.
Exactly. You want to say like, he's like, yeah. So, cause funny enough, like the assistants are the ones telling the coach everything about you. He doesn't know much. He's so busy now that I've been there and see
Yeah.
now how, man, he don't got time for none of that.
Don't you find
But
that crazy too? Like the amount of trust these head coaches have in their
yeah,
assistants. Like there's got to
exactly.
be some serious, like, because at the end of the day,
Serious.
he has to answer to that, right? He has to
Hmm.
answer to bringing you to campus. No one's gonna be like, oh well, the second assistant brought you in, and the media's
Exactly.
they're gonna go right to the head coach. So I've always found
No
that when you get to
doubt.
these levels, it's super intriguing of the trust that's there,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
this is big time basketball, man. We're
Oh
not,
yeah, that's not a
yeah.
joke. Yeah, no,
Hmm.
that's why I always think that too. The trust, and that's why I guess that it comes with also your the work that as an assistant, like you have to, if you've been bringing in McDonald's All Americans, etc. He's gonna trust you, and these guys been there for a while. But it is crazy to think like I know nothing about this Kris Joseph kid, but if you see he's good, all right, well I'll believe you. I'll take your word for it. It's nuts. It's nuts. So I first get on the
We'll see
phone
him
with
in
him.
see him in September.
Yeah, right. We
Yeah.
get on the phone and like we're on, I guess maybe they're in the office together. I'm not sure how it is, but I was talking to Coach Murphy. He called and next thing you know, he's like, hey, here's, Coach Boeheim is here too. He wants to say a few words. He wants to say hello. He's like, hey, Chris, how you doing? I'm like, this is crazy. This Coach Boeheim, like Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? My heart's, like you said, my heart's racing. I think I started sweating. I'm sure I did. You know what I mean? And he's just talking to me and he's regular, he's like, well, I wasn't committed at this point yet. He's like,
Right.
well, we're very interested in you. We feel like you fit the Syracuse mold and you're long for the zone, but he's probably just reading off a list of 6'7", 215. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
he's just probably reading, never seen me play, never seen me put the ball in the basket yet. But he was saying that he's excited and, that's what it was. And at the end of that conversation, he says to me, I just wanted to let you know that we're going to offer you a full scholarship to come to Syracuse University. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, oh man, I appreciate it. Thank you, coach. I appreciate it. Honestly, I'm telling him like this is a dream come true. And no, I appreciate it. And he's like, no, obviously there was no pressure for me to commit on the phone. But in my mind, I did. Like, okay, yeah, I'm coming here. No problem.
Yeah.
Appreciate the scholarship offer. I'll see you soon. You know what I mean? But I kept it cool in that sense where I didn't take any visits
Really?
outside of Syracuse. Yeah, because I mean, I was in DC, so I went to Maryland. They recruited
Right.
Maryland, Georgetown, like
Yeah.
George Mason, George Washington, all those Georges. You know what I mean? All of them recruited me, and I visited. I used to go play pickup with the Hoyas in the summertime and things like that. That was one thing. Oh, you could be like Jeff Green. You could play in this Princeton offense because you could pass the ball and you could. I'm like, damn, but that's not so much how I want to play. That Syracuse offense is a little bit more free flowing, a little, so it was a little better for me in that
Mhm.
sense. But yeah, no, I took Syracuse for my only like official visit where I went there and Dante Green was my host and, had a great time. I went up there with my mom because Syracuse being 3.5, 4 hours away from Montreal, I made sure that when I got there, she was able to come visit. Because at that point, I was in DC. I hadn't seen my mom for like a year and maybe like a year.
Mhm.
So I wanted to make sure I could see her. And, the guys were like, yeah, Chris, you want to, super low maintenance. You want to, yeah, there's a party tonight. You want to, I'm like, no, I'm just going to kick it with my mom, man. You guys, I'll go to, I appreciate you. I know you're supposed to make this the best trip of my life for me to commit, but I'm already committed. They just don't
Yeah.
know it yet. So you don't have to give me the bells and whistles. I'm here already.
Yeah. This is 3 years in the making, man.
Yeah.
And how's that feeling, that moment of like, obviously your brother had been through it, but for you personally, bringing your mom, knowing that like, regardless of how it is going to end up for you, like this is like a 6-figure contract that you're signing for an education and to play high level
Hmm.
basketball. How's that feel like to have your mom be the person on campus with you? That must have been a cool moment.
Oh yeah, no question. I mean, we're in the hotel room and she's on her, we got two she's like, should we get you guys separate rooms? I'm like, no, we want to be in the same room. I'm telling them we're in the same room. We'll have two beds or whatever, two doubles, whatever it is, but we're watching TV in the hotel. We're just kicking it because in my mind, I never said, you see, I told you so. But for me, it was like, thank you for trusting me. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, because already, like, I wasn't making the best decisions in Montreal and stuff like that. So thank you for believing in me and trusting me to make this move and knowing that this is what I needed to, not to say turn my life around, because I wasn't a bad kid. It's not like I was getting arrested and things like that. But, just for me to get on a straighter path, you know what I mean? Without any distractions. Being home, sometimes, you have friends who are into certain things and these are your friends. And at a young age, you're not really sure of how to differentiate, like, these are my friends. Yeah, they're doing this, but, these are my guys. So how do I, so me being away was the best decision. And it was an amazing, moment. And every time my mom came to campus, to watch a game, because she did it so frequently, it was so close, it meant everything to me. Like, I would always go, as soon as the game was over, I'd go right to the crowd and I'd go hug her. After every game she was at, I'd leave. As soon as we finished dapping the other team, I'd go find her in the crowd, give her a hug, go to the locker room, do whatever we had to do, come out and, see her off or whatever the case was. But amazing feeling. Amazing.
Says a lot about your mom too, just to have she built a pretty good foundation in her boys to trust that you would make the right decisions and leave you to go do what you did at such a young age, right? I mean, it says a lot as a parent. You already touched on it yourself, trying to think about your own kids. And I guess for us, our challenge with young kids is how do we build that foundation for them so they're in a situation where we would, know, and I think it says a lot about the parenting you receive. So that's dope, man. You walk onto that campus, practice starts. How does it go from a dream into a reality? Was it a first practice where it was like, okay, this is big boy ball now? And I mean, let's let the people know you're pretty, you talked about the one coach putting the battery on your back, but like you can flat out hoop, man. So like you belong. So you belong. I mean, you made the NBA, you're a sixth man in this conference. Like I remember watching you, you're doing your thing out there, doing damage too, for 4 years. Yeah. So I do appreciate the humble approach though, man. Like you don't get that vibe from you, but I can sense in your body language. And that's why I like doing this on Zoom. That is like, you are, you can pick it up on people, but those first few weeks on campus and getting training, you talking about good thing you're down in the States. You've already we had Big Todd McCullough on the show. I don't know if you remember Big Todd. Yeah,
of course.
Yeah. And he talked about how like, first week on campus at UW, he's like never lifted a weight in his life, right? He's like falling over, barely tie his shoes.
We're going to have a little flashback to episode 36 with Todd McCullough.
And then we finished the workout. My arms are dead. I can't feel them. And they're like, okay, guys, it's we're going to go run 5 miles. I'm like, you guys are insane. So now I have my running shoes on at this time. And so we go run this outdoor trail and we start the run, the whole team, 12 of us. And immediately, like, I fall back, and 2 of my teammates, they're walking with me in solidarity. I'm like, you guys go. I didn't do the necessary fitness to be ready, so I don't want you guys to get in trouble. So you guys go. I'll be fine. So they're like, fine, buddy. So they just sprint off like gazelles, and then we get done, and they're like, okay, guys, we're going to SPU, Seattle Pacific University. We got 2 hours of scrimmage. I'm like, you guys are crazy. So we go to scrimmage, and I go to put my shoes on because you have to put your basketball shoes on. So I've got the runners on now, but now I've got to put on the basketball shoes because we're going to play basketball. But so you like lower yourself down to the court, and my arms give out because there's no strength, and I hit my head on the court. And now I get my shoes on, and now I can't stand back up because I'm just rolling around like a beached whale. But I can't even. If you're going to stand up, you got to like push your body up. I'm not like a surfer. I can just pop up. So it takes everything that I have, every ounce of strength, just to get to my feet. And they're like, "Good job, center from Canada. You can stand up. Let's play." And now I can't hold the ball. I can't rebound. I got a ball, and I would like shovel it to the point where I'm like, "Here, come take this thing." And then they gave me the ball in the post, and I heaved it like a two-handed under the basket, like a Barry shot, and it went in. And I scored 1 basket in 2 hours of pickup against a D2 team. And then we're driving home in the van, and the guys are like, they're trying to be supportive, right? But I know they think I'm horrible because I've never played that bad in my life. I dropped 50 in the provincials, baby. And so then I'm like, guys, I'm actually not as bad as what you saw today. And they're like, oh yeah, no, of course you couldn't be. No. And then like a week later, when I'd finally recovered, they're like, oh yeah, we totally thought you were the worst player we'd ever seen. But then I made it to the NBA. So it's okay now.
You've at least had the high level experience with a high level high school program, right? So how's that transition into Syracuse basketball and just showing up on the daily grind?
Yeah, no, it's crazy because you think that you're lifting until you get to college. And, like, because now it's
Say
like
it
our
louder for the
assistant
people in the
coach.
back. Say it louder for
Yeah,
the
no
people in the
doubt.
back. Yeah.
So in high school, it was our assistant coach maybe finding these programs on Google or whatever it was, or however it is that he was doing. But like I get to Syracuse, and it's like you go through administration, you're doing you have to fill out your stuff, and then you go right to the gym and you meet the equipment manager, shout out to Swirls, and he gives you your first set of gear, your loop, you know what I mean? Your first gear loop.
Timeout here. I'm giving you timeout signal. Well, did you reference like the equipment dude, man? These are the most
Yeah.
vital people in the room, right?
Yeah.
You still
No
remember
doubt.
you're already shouting him out. You're like, this is my guy.
Yeah.
I need this guy.
That's
I need
my guy. Yeah.
I need this. I need that. Like
Hey,
those are your people,
till this
right?
day, I still get the nice little care packages from Syracuse. So whatever the gear
Love
is,
it.
they hook your boy up. So
Love
you
it.
get, pair of sneaks, you get your loop, your dry fit, the jersey with the 32 on the back, and I'm, this is crazy. This is, again, another moment where I was like, I can't believe I'm here. You know how many days I woke up and I'm like, I can't believe I'm in Syracuse, New York, playing for the Syracuse Orange. This is nuts. Like, I would tell myself this all the time because this is not normal for me or from wherever I came from. This is not the norm. So it's pretty wild. So the first day we figured all that stuff out. But, we have a guy named Paul Harris who plays my position as a 3. Paul Harris was supposed to be a guy who was able to come out of high school. He's from Buffalo, New York, and played for Niagara Falls High School with Johnny Flynn. And, like, he was everything.
Shout
You know
out
what I mean?
Griselda
But the
Records.
year that
You a Griselda guy?
I mess with Griselda, man.
Need to
No, they're
poach
tough.
Conway.
Benny.
Conway's coming out here. I'm gonna go see him.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's coming out in
Yeah,
like a
that's
month.
tough.
I'm the 44-year-old old head in the back who should be asleep, but I gotta go. I need my live music back, man. I need my
Yeah.
live
Oh
music.
man, shout out to Griselda. Yeah, no question.
Sorry, I
And
shouldn't have cut you off. That's
no.
rude.
That's all good. No, that's solid. I rock with Griselda, and Jadakiss was actually saying that he likes Griselda and Benny the Butcher and those guys too, and that's what keeps him going and things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But
Nice.
so Paul being there, he's a junior going into his junior year that year, and this guy is like I said, you think you're lifting until you go to a college campus and see a guy who's been lifting for 3 years. You know what I mean? And it's like,
He's like a man.
whoa. You know what I mean? A man. So we're playing pickup, and he wants to immediately go to the gym. So there's me, and who I got recruited with was a guy named Mookie Jones. So we go to the gym, and we're playing like full court 1-on-1, and I'm talking about I can't get a move off on Paul Harris. I
Really?
can't get a move off. I'm going between to my Iverson crossover, and he's calling out crossover, and I'm like, oh, so now I'm like, he knows I'm about to cross over, so let me do something else. Now he's picking my pocket, going back the other way, dunking, yelling, talking shit, and I'm like, damn. All right, so let me reevaluate this. I wanted to come to Syracuse, but maybe, like Siena was a good school maybe for me, I'm like, let me reevaluate this thing, right? So
What's this CEGEP thing about? Maybe.
yeah. McGill, not sounding too bad right now, you know what I'm saying? But you know what? It just took for me to get adjusted to it was faster. You know what I mean? Like they were obviously stronger. My first lifting session, it wasn't nothing crazy, but it was just the manner of which, so this guy, we shout out to Ryan Kabilis too. He's still the strength coach there. We get with Ryan, and he's writing you up this program, and I'm seeing so many sets and so many reps. I'm like, what's going on? So we're doing upper body, lower. We're on the Vertimax. We're doing all kind. The next day, man, it was like I couldn't get out of bed. I'm like, this can't be life. It can't be. This can't be what it's gonna be every day. It's nuts. But obviously your body not used to things, used to this, amount of work, and slowly but surely, when I was able to catch my routine, and now I'm getting stronger, and I'm playing every day with Paul, and Paul, I guess at the time, he wouldn't say it, but now he would say he was kind of getting me ready for the role that I later ended up playing for Syracuse, right? Because he knew he had the faith in me. He liked my game, just the smoothness of it and all that. But he was just prepping me. You know what I mean? So if I could get past Paul Harris, man, who's a lockdown defender, I don't even think he should have came to Syracuse because of how well he plays man-to-man defense. And, we don't get out the zone. But this guy was a dog. Paul Harris is a dog till this day. You know what I'm saying? And I was able to play him later on in my career when I was in Italy, played him once in France. But he's a flat-out dog. So it was tough, man. Those first 2 weeks, I'd say I was really reevaluating everything. And I had my roommate at the time, Wes Johnson, who actually played with Rob there in LA. But Wes Johnson was my roommate. He was a transfer from Iowa State, and he was redshirting, obviously, because of the transfer rule. And he was able to push me like mentally too. He's like, yo, Joe, trust me, like you're good, bro. Like, trust me. I know it's tough right now. I went through my bumps and bruises, my first whatever it was as well. But you're gonna get past. You're gonna get past the soreness of the lifting. You're gonna get past. Like, it was tough for me to lift, have an individual, and then end up having to play pickup and still be like fresh. Right? It was so much for me at that particular time. And once your body gets used to it, and once you get going, it was cool. So by the time summer school started, we were there for summer start, which was like in June, I guess we were there. I stayed there the whole summer. And by the end of the summer, like, you don't even notice it, but you're lifting every day and things are getting easier for you in the sense where it's like, oh, I could lift this. Like, I'm not struggling no more. Oh, now we're going to hoop. I'm still fresh. You know what I mean? Like, you're eating different. You know, you got like a nutritionist, which is, you know, your strength coach at the same time, writing you program what you should eat, what you should be doing more or less of. And, you know, they take care of you. That was a whole new world too. You know, they have food for you after training and stuff like that. So as soon as I was able to get past that, I knew that I belonged for real, because we started practice and it was just one of those things where I wasn't going to play many minutes because we had Paul Harris there, who's going to get the bulk of the minutes at the 3. But I still played a decent amount as a freshman. Decent amount. My role obviously wasn't so big, but I played a decent amount, man. And I mean, there was times during the year that I felt like I wanted to transfer. But it wasn't because I didn't feel like I belonged. I felt like I should have been playing more, and like, when is my opportunity going to come? Because I'm thinking in my head, Paul Harris, he's a junior. He still has another year left. Wes Johnson, who is NBA ready right now, plays my position. So if he comes in, where's the minutes going to be for me? Yeah, so Paul Harris ends up leaving early, declaring for the draft after his junior year. So it ended up working out. Like I said, I don't believe in coincidences too much. Things happen the way they're supposed to. Paul helped me for a whole year. You know, at the end of my freshman year, I had to look at things and see like, okay, well, what could I do to get better? Had my end of, you know, your checkout meetings with Coach Boeheim and the assistants, and you meet with your assistant coach first, whoever recruited you. We have a talk. Then you go meet with the big boss man, Coach Boeheim, and he basically was like, you know, Kris, you have the skill, you have the talent, but he told me, he was like, you're too fat. And, you know, I wasn't shooting the ball at a high clip, because, you know, when you're shooting 1 or 2 threes a game, like, you might not shoot a great percentage. You know what I mean? So
more pressure too, right? You're like, I better make one of these two, or else
I better make one. Yeah. Exactly. And coach is one of those guys where if you're not shooting like 34% or something like that, like minimum, he doesn't want you shooting threes at all. So you're shooting a shot, looking over your shoulder at the same time, barely looking at the rim damn near, because you're like, well, you shoot the ball and there's already someone standing up. Like, if it goes in, he might go sit back down. But like, if he doesn't trust you to shoot the ball, don't shoot it. But it's one of those things. You got the assistant being like, if you're open, shoot. You got Coach Boeheim saying, if you shoot the ball, you're coming out. So it's like so many things going on, which is tough sometimes. And so he basically said, you know, he was like, Kris, right now you're too big, so and you don't shoot the ball well enough. And to play for Syracuse, you gotta be able to run and shoot. And right now you're not doing either of those things too well. And I was like, damn, all right. So what should I do? I'm faced with a decision in a sense where it's like really a no-brainer. It's like, lose the weight, because I wasn't playing so much. So of course I was indulging. We had a campus card with the Burger King and the Taco Bells, and you know, I was eating. You know what I mean? So I ended up, you know, finishing my freshman year, which to me wasn't so bad because you're still lifting, so you look good. I was 233, 234, something like that.
Yeah.
That summer, I get down to 205. Between my freshman and sophomore year, I get down to 205. It was like 5% body fat, and I was ready to roll. I was running and jumping. You know, I had a 41 max vert, you know, running vert. So I was like, yeah, I'm ready. You know what I mean? I'm ready to go now. So that was big time right there. Yeah, and that's the year that I end up, you know, winning Big East 6 Man of the Year, which going into that year, it was like I had no idea what to expect. I knew I didn't play much. I knew Coach Boeheim just told me what he told me like 2 months ago before we, you know, after the season. So he comes back and he's like, man, like you slimmed out. Like he was surprised, like Kris, like, you know, because in the summertime, he's with Team USA, he's relaxing, he's recruiting, he's going everywhere. So when he comes back to campus and sees me, he was shocked. And I like that. You know, that was my first, like, okay, so one thing's for sure, like he notices that, you know, I changed. I took what he said into account and, you know, and I felt good. And, Paul Harris was gone. He declared for the draft after my freshman year, so I knew there was minutes available. Wes Johnson was going to be playing, but I knew that we could, maybe be a 3-4 kind of punch or whatever the case is. But I end up not starting, which, okay, cool, that's one thing. But what could I do? I'm not starting, but maybe I could come off the bench and make an impact. I was big on Manu Ginobili, Jamal Crawford, like seeing guys at the next level be very pivotal parts to a basketball team, even if they're not starting. And I finished a lot of games. So when the season started and, I was coming off the bench, I would try to, as soon as I get in there, try to make something happen immediately. Like, we're playing zone. I'm being as active as I can be. I'm getting out in transition. I'm dunking the ball. Like, this is something that nobody was able to see the year before because I wasn't getting those opportunities. And once I established my position as I'm going to be the first guy off the bench, it was a done deal for me. So now I'm playing like meaningful minutes, meaningful games. Like I'm scoring. I'm third on the team in scoring behind Wes and Andy Routens. Shout out to Andy. You know what I mean? So now I'm averaging 11 points or like close to it, 10.6, 7 or whatever it was. And like that's big time for me. You know what I mean? I'm like, damn, like I'm really here now. Like, yeah, I was here. And last year I was here, but I'm here for real. Now this year, like, I'm playing in these games. We're playing, North Carolina at Madison Square Garden for a preseason tournament. I don't know if it was the O'Reilly Auto Parts preseason tournament or whatever it was, but playing against North Carolina, seeing myself on an ESPN commercial, like these are things I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. Again, I'm from Montreal, Quebec, where I was playing street hockey because there was no basketball hoop on my elementary schoolyard grounds. You know what I mean? So that was big time, man.
Hoops journey, man. That's a hoops journey, dude. Yeah. I think it's cool, too. You've talked a couple times early on before you're arriving Syracuse. You talked about the team and you mentioned the word like family and culture and stuff. I think it's really cool. You got those guys that are ahead of you that are there supporting you saying, hey, man, you got this, but I'm still going to come and kick your ass in practice. But it's not this like, because I think you get to that level and it's like, well, I could just cut you out because those are my minutes and then it's going to affect my future career. But it's like, no, actually, if Kris plays better in practice and gets more minutes in games, I'm going to be a better player. And they recognize that. And then and our team's going to be better. And then we get more exposure together. Right. And I think it's an important point to touch on. Right. And something that you've obviously taken away from Syracuse basketball, you can just see, when you talk about it, you kind of start to beam a little bit. And you mentioned the old dogs like Cycli and those guys. But when you have guys on your team that are willing to say, no, don't worry, man, you're good because they've been through it. Exactly. I think it just makes for a strong culture. So I think it says a lot about probably why you stuck it out too, right? Because you had 12 dudes that had your back and you had their back too. For sure. Yeah, it was really a we before me mentality. You know what I mean? Yeah. Again, we had guys like Johnny Flynn ends up going lottery to the Minnesota Timberwolves, but like having someone like that who obviously there was guys like I said, Wes Johnson, you had the alum John Wallace who, we were kind of not to say similar, but he's a big wing. You know what I mean? Yep. Like things like so guys like that being able to come back and say, oh, listen, don't worry, you're good. Like you belong here. We play pickup in the summertime. Like you belong here. Trust me. That stuff, little stuff like that is huge. And like you said, Paul Harris being able to take the high road and not be selfish. Because like you said, we've seen it in movies or shows or whatever it is. Like someone comes to threaten your playing time or threaten your spot. You might, what if Paul could have been an asshole and like been telling me wrong things. Like, I don't know the ropes. Like he could have been telling me do this. It was things that he knows would piss coach off, for instance. You know what I mean? Instead, he was helping me my whole way through. He was helping me out and making sure I was doing the right things, making sure that I'm, if he went to go work out, he was calling me, let's go get some shots up. Like he was bringing me along and it was like, coach, you want coach to see you in the gym. Cause it was easy for me to be like, I'm not playing. What am I getting extra shots up for? I could have had that mentality, but he wouldn't allow it. Right. And I obviously wanted to play. So going in, I didn't have that mindset. But imagine if I was the type of kid who things are going my way. I'm here on scholarship. I'm guaranteed 4 years. I could sit the bench for 4. I couldn't do that. I could. But there's times where I've seen guys come through those doors and have that mindset of I'm not playing. I'm content. I'm at Syracuse. I'm living good. The fans love me. The girls, whatever it is that you want to, whatever it is, like I'm cool here. But I could never be cool with not playing. And I knew that when I got cut. And they told me I could play when we were up by a little or down by a lot, whatever it was. You know what I mean? I was never cool with that. So shout out to Paul and all those guys that held me accountable
and made sure that I stuck on my shit. And shout out to Coach Rob Murphy too, because obviously he knew he had he recruited me, right? So as a coach, as an assistant, you want your guys to do well.
Yeah.
So, he really pushed me, man. He pushed me. And he tells the story, one of the days that I really felt like transferring was we played in that iconic 6 overtime game at the Garden against UConn, the instant classic during the Big East tournament.
Yes.
And, I knew I wasn't going to play, right? Because we had just, I get it. I understood, I gotten a few DNPs and things like that. Coach didn't trust me enough to play in those high caliber games. That's cool. But there was a time where everyone was falling out. And he put a walk-on in before he put me in, right? Although the walk-on was a guard, and it was a guard that was needed to play the top of the zone and whatever else maybe you could make excuses for, I took that as a super-duper slap in the face, you know what I mean? And after that game, I ended up still going in there. I played center, which was crazy. Hashim to beat, Jeff Adrian right there, Stanley Robinson. Regardless of that, after the game, I'm like, yo, Coach Murphy, man, I'm gone. Like, he put a walk-on in before me. I'm like, he doesn't trust me. Like, he doesn't want me here. He don't trust me. I there's no way around that. And he was able to calm me down, and I'm glad that he did, because that night, boy, it was 2 a.m. The game finished. We got back to the hotel about 2 a.m. I couldn't even celebrate the way I wanted. I was happy we won. Obviously, that was an instant classic, ESPN classic, literally the next day or right after. But I was pissed, man. That he put a walk-on in before me. That was just, and it literally could be because it's a guard and he knows the top of the zone. I had never played the top of the zone before, but I'm like, damn, it was just the fact that it was a walk-on. A shout out to JT, the walk-on that he put in. He could have been a scholarship player anywhere else, right? But he was at Syracuse as a walk-on, but that was crazy. But I'm glad I stuck it out, man. So shout out to all those guys, and shout out to Coach Murphy for always giving me that confidence that I belonged along with everybody else.
Yeah, coaching's hard, man. It's hard to juggle 12, 15 dudes and make them all feel a part of it and understand that they're all coming from different situations, from, they're from New York, they're from Montreal, different upbringings, and making that happen, and those high intense moments to keep everybody bought in. And it's good that you stayed the course. Man, this is dope. We could go for like 3 hours. They're also aware of time, question. But we're going to get this out before Final Four next weekend. So, let's just quickly talk about some of the runs your teams went on and the memories and moments that you had in terms of being with March Madness. You cool with that?
Oh, no.
And how do you feel when you turn the TV on these days and you just kind of see it, right? Like, does it bring back, maybe some tough memories in terms of, not making it to the Final Four, but like also going on some crazy runs and knowing that, you play in the Carrier Dome. How many is it? 70,000? Yeah.
Probably they max out about that for football games and things like that. Okay. But the most fans I ever played in front of was 36,000 and change, So that was the biggest at the time. That was the biggest on-campus crowd because we played Villanova my sophomore year, and that win would have solidified us to be the outright Big East winner. It would have gave us the number one. I think we would have cracked number one top 25 with that win, and that was huge. There was a lot riding on it. That team was stacked: Corey Fisher, Scotty Reynolds. So who else was on that team, man? What a shooter! I forget his name. They had a good team, but yeah, playing at
Villanova annoying to play against.
Hell yeah, 4 guards,
so
one big.
Right? Yeah, right.
Oh man,
they never beat themselves. They're so structured.
Yeah. And till this day, again, Final Four, Jay Wright, Coach Jay Wright, he's dope, man. He does what he does, and he definitely does what he does. But that 4 guards, that 4 out 1 in thing that they had going, that was tough to play against. Because all their guards were penetrating the gaps. All of them could shoot. But that's how active our zone was. Our zone was crazy. And that's me coming in as a sophomore. When I say playing in meaningful games, here I am. Last year, couldn't get a sniff. But now playing in a game that will give us outright Big East and number 1 in the country. And when you go on, the analysts are talking about, at the other time we had my other guy, Scoop Jardine, coming off the bench, and them saying that these two could play anywhere in the country and be starters, but they're playing for Syracuse, and that's what makes them so good. But it's crazy because Syracuse don't go deep into their bench, right? We go 7 deep. So it's 5 starters, 2 bench guys. The 8th man, you're gonna play some spot minutes if emergency situations, a foul out or something like that. So Scoop and I were leading. Well, we were we were the bench. You know what I mean? And our bench productivity was top in the country. And there's only really 2 of us, so that was insane. But we speak on March Madness or just postseason play when you talk about Big East tournament or now the ACC tournament or whatever. And March Madness, like a few weeks ago, I went down to New York City at the Barclays as a member of the media because we have our show, the Devo show, and we had our media passes, and I'm sitting there on press row watching Syracuse play against who they played against. Yeah, I think it was Florida State or something like that, right? And I'm like, man, this is crazy. I want to suit up right now. Like, this is giving me chills. I'll watch the games on TV and I'm like, ooh, like, I love the situation when it's crunch time, you're on the road, the fans are talking crazy to you, and, Buddy Boeheim just makes a three and shuts the whole crowd up or something like that. And like, I love those moments. I live for them. So seeing the tournament and remembering some of the runs that we made. Of course, my first year going to the tournament, I didn't play much, but seeing guys like a young James Harden at Arizona State, we beat them in Miami, or first round, I believe it was in Miami. We beat them boys, you know what I mean? And then we lose to Oklahoma with a young, super hyper athletic Blake Griffin. You know what I mean? And like just those memories right there, and me fouling the shit out of him one time because he wanted to dunk on me. And I'm like, no, sir, not today. I know what you do. You know what I mean? I fouled him crazy. My whole hand was on his all 5 fingers were on his forearm, red. You know what
You're
I mean?
not getting your arm above your head. Yeah.
No, you can't.
No way.
You go back to my sophomore year. Iconic year, but we lose our big man Arenzo Nwankwo in the Big East tournament against Georgetown. I'll never forget. He tore something like his quad tendons or something like that right above his knee. And, that year we were projected, I think we were overall number 1 seed, like the number 1 seed. We were definitely number 1 seed. That's where I played my brother in the first round of the tournament. We played Vermont, got them out of there. So that was another iconic moment. So when I think NCAA, when I think about March Madness, that's the first thoughts that come to my head is like, man, cool. I'm from Montreal, Quebec. My brother, who I followed as a blueprint, as my idol, you know what I mean? And as a kid, I tell him all the time now that he's my idol. But as a kid growing up, you're like, yeah, I'm not telling him that. You know what I mean? Like, I appreciate you, but I'm not telling you. But now today, I tell him all the time. I probably tell him too much, maybe. But, like, I'm thinking, this is insane. And they did it. We were on ESPN talking First Take. We were that place doing interviews and going out to, when the game was about to start. They made it so, in the NCAA tournament, you call one guy from one team and one guy from the next, and they meet at half court, dap up or whatever it is. And obviously, they did it so it'd be me and him meeting up at the middle. That was an emotional moment for me. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, damn, we played in Buffalo, which was enabled my family to come watch the game, and they had made these shirts, the Joe Bro Show, half orange, half green. My nieces and nephew with signs, my uncle this, my uncle. So that was big time. That was an emotional moment for myself, for my family, like for them, to make them proud. So just to...
There's no way that's happened in Canada. You got to be the only family. Has there ever been a brother or sister combo that's played against each other in the tournament? That's wild, man.
I don't think so. Yeah, that's wild. First,
that's what it's all about, man.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And, again, nothing by like coincidence. Nah, like this is supposed to happen. My brother transfers from Michigan State to Vermont, has to sit out a year, which makes it so that his senior year is my sophomore year, and they win their tournament. And we were number 1, they were 16. Like, come on, man. That's... I have a picture that I got an artist made. Shout out to Melissa from Toronto. She made this. It was a painting of my brother and I at the free throw line. We were next to each other, and I have it in my son's room. Just I know that's a random thing to say, but just so he could see his uncle and his dad. Like, what I mean? He's gonna understand the importance of that one day, and he's gonna have that photo there as a reminder. Like, that's wild. So yeah,
thinking random, about man, that's a great share, man. I mean, he's looking at that picture every day, and even if he's not thinking about it, he's processing that, and he's like, "Wow, that's my uncle, my dad." Like,
yes,
that's
crazy.
Cool.
And once he understands how big the NCAA is for one, and he knows a little about little NBA, Space Jam, LeBron, and all that stuff. Although I hate when he says Space Jam and says LeBron. But hey, it is. Right? It's what it is.
We had to watch one before we watched two. I was like, "There's no chance. You need to know who the Monstars are, man."
Exactly, the real Monstars. Yup. And I think about that run. We losing the Elite Eight to Butler, who ends up losing to Duke in the finals. But I think damn, if we have Arenze, we make it. In my mind, we make it to the. He was the difference maker for our team.
Yeah.
Shot 70%. field goal percentage. You know, he was getting everything under the 6'9", 260. Can't move him. You know, my junior year wasn't so great. You know, we end up losing in the second round to Marquette. But my last year, we go to the Elite Eight once more. We lose to Ohio State, but again, we lose our big man, Fab Melo. Rest in peace, Fab Melo. Shout out to him. He ends up, you know, getting in trouble, or they, you know, some compliance things. They said he didn't write his papers. I don't know how, you know, whatever it is. Yeah. Right? But he can't play, and he was big for us. You know, he would have been able to stop whether it was Jared Sullinger. Like, he was our anchor back there. He won Defensive Player of the Year in the Big East that year. And he was averaging like 2 point, maybe 3 point something blocks. Obviously, big shot, you know, just altering shots and being our pick and roll guy and being that 1-2 punch that we needed down low, that balance that we needed. We ended up having a starter freshman, Rakeem Christmas, who ended up having a great career at Syracuse and, you know, got drafted. But at the time, he wasn't ready for that action. Yeah. You know what I mean? And, you know, but it's amazing, man. The tournament is just it's an amazing time. From the little details, such as I was just explaining to somebody the other day, like going to the practice facility or going to the gym, you got police, motorcycles just guiding you to the gym, just so everything is smooth, no traffic. You're gonna get there when you're supposed to. Like, I'm like, man, I've never been somewhere that the bus just didn't stop until you got to where you're going. You know what I mean? Red lights, we didn't have to stop at no red light. Like, it was crazy. They had all blocked off, all timed well. You go out, you have your little the press practice where the fans are able to come watch you play, and, you know, you're just doing 3-man weave and just dunking the ball and just doing things for the fans to get excited. You know, I met Reggie Miller there. You know what I mean? Like, little things. It's the best time. You know, it's the best time of the year, for real. You see these upsets. Now you see Coach, Holloway, you know, St. Peter's, what he's doing, what they're doing. You know, there's always a Cinderella story, or it's amazing, man, because these teams, it just goes to show that it doesn't matter. As a kid, you think you got to go to Kansas, Syracuse, Kentucky, whatever it is. Listen, you can go to St. Peter's, you know, because at the end of the day, put some respect on their name. They were the best team in their conference. Yeah, they might not be as athletically gifted as, you know, a team like Kansas or whoever. But them boys could play, and they're well coached. And you go to a team like that, if you just have discipline, you know, you can win basketball games, right? You have discipline, sure, you stick to the script, man. You know, you can do some great things. So it's amazing. The postseason is just a fun time to play. And I was crushed, man, when we lost to Ohio State, just knowing that was my last college basketball game. And, like, I'll never put on a Syracuse jersey again. Like, those were the best 4 years of my life. Those 4 years really built me, you know, on and off the court, and taught me so much. You know what I mean? And it was tough for me to be like, I'm never gonna play for Syracuse again. Like this, you got to go back to campus. You know, you're there, you're finishing up school and things like that. But there's no more practice. You know, I was in there working out, getting ready for my pre-draft stuff. But I'm never playing for Syracuse again. So you really have to cherish those moments, because it really does go by fast.
We'll be back after a quick break.
We want to take a moment and thank our sponsor, Parkside Brewery. Located in the heart of Port Moody on Brewers Row, Parkside offers an amazing atmosphere with one of the best summer patios around. If you can't make it to the brewery, located at 2731 Murray Street, then hit any government retail store and try the Dawn Pilsner, the Dusk Pale Ale, or my favorite, the Dreamboat Hazy IPA. The Hoops Journey promises that the beer at Parkside is much, much, much better than the owner, Sam Payne's streaky jump shot. We hope to see you Parkside. After a brief hiatus, Good Lad Clothing has returned, but under a new location. 3283 Main Street is where they can be found. Name drop a Hoops Journey to get 10% off any clothing items in store. The store no longer offers barber, but you can find the best retail around. Thanks to our sponsor, Good Lad Clothing, and we hope to see you there. I can only imagine like the hype too about, you know, if you make it out of that first weekend, you get back to go to campus for 3-4 days, people are hyped. You make it out the next weekend, it's even more hype. Like, it must have just been bonkers. There's probably, you know, Nike shipping new gear every weekend. And like, it's just like, it's crazy, right? Can I ask a goofy coaching question? I'm just curious. Sure. I went to the Coach K clinic about 10 years ago. And he was talking about how they never scrimmage for more than 2 or 3 minutes at a time because of so many media timeouts. And sometimes I watch these games, right? And then a coach will call a timeout knowing that the next possession back, it's the media timeout, right? And so how did you guys talk about that in practice? Did you scrimmage differently because of it? Because was Coach Boeheim just sort of, this is how we do things and we're going to stick to the plan this way?
Yeah.
I just found that to be interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. That's really interesting, actually. But no, Coach Boeheim, how we did it, we scrimmaged and we went all out. You know what I mean? We weren't thinking about media timeouts or anything. But honestly, I don't think many schools coach or many coaches coach like Coach Boeheim. He really has his program ran like a professional team, right? Like an NBA team. He doesn't force you, let's just say, to do anything, right? You don't want to work out, all right, you won't play. But if you do want to play, if you do want to get better, like everything is here for you. You got the shooting guns, you got the assistant coaches, you got managers to come rebound for you if you want. We got a state-of-the-art weight room. We got the best trainer. Shout out to Brad Pike in probably college basketball for me personally. Obviously, I'm going to say that, right? Shout out to Brad. He got me right when I had knee surgery. But we have everything there for you. So we're not going to force you to work out. I'm not going to force you, but you better want to. You're here, right? He's not so hands-on. Right?
Yeah, interesting.
In that sense. And
he probably knows too. He just walks into a gym. Oh, you don't want to work? Okay, well, you after this year, you're not going to be wearing the orange. You know what I mean? Like, forget not playing. Like we'll recruit over you, right? So
that's what it is. You get recruited over, right? You're not making any progress. You're going to get recruited over, and that could have been me my freshman year. Like he told me what he told me, and I said I had to take it upon myself. Like there was no one. During the summertime, saying, Chris, go work out 2 times a day. I was in there 2 times doing my cardio, doing my go and play pickup, change my diet, drinking 1 gallon of water a day, 2 gallons of water a day. You know what I mean? Like strict, man. And that's what it was about. Like he's not on you to figure out if you're going to do that or not.
It's funny, man, as a high school coach, I'm in like 18th year or whatever, but I remember when I was young, I would almost want it more than the kids, and it became unhealthy. It became unhealthy.
That's
so
tough.
It's good to hear even at the Division I level, right? It's like the gym's open, the weight room's open. You can choose to have your diet, but don't expect to make a run at the provincial championships if we don't take care of business in October to exactly. January, February, right? And it's interesting to hear that same approach is like, and I found like, why am I up late at night? These 16, 17-year-old kids are probably sleeping well. I'm like losing my mind about why we're not playing well. But if you don't want to put the work in, there's nothing I can do, right? So interesting.
That's tough. And that's something that I'm thinking about because I'll be coaching next year. And I'm like, I never want to be put in a position where like I have to let these kids know how passionate I am about the game of basketball and how much I despise people disrespecting the game. Like, don't come into the gym without a set plan. Don't come in and shoot fadeaway threes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, do not. Please. I'm all for celebrating. I had an iconic celebration against Georgetown where I brought out the machine gun one time. I could send you a picture of that. But, like, and the ref was like, all right, Chris, enough with the guns. You know what I mean? I'm like, and at that point, I was like, oh, damn, these refs know me by first name. That's pretty cool. But, so I understand, but it's like, though, I don't want to care more about winning than you do or care more about your progression than you do. Like I keep telling kids, and when I go, it'll be times where I go give like, I'll do a little clinic and I speak to the kids afterwards and I tell them the best advice I could give you is you can't want it, like someone else can't want it more for you than you want it for yourself. Flat out. Like if you don't want to put the time in, then don't expect like your mom to, you better tell your parents now, like, because where you want to go, that's not going to cut it. Where you think you want to go, where you want to be, where you see yourself, it's easy to wake up and say, I want to be a professional basketball player. Mind you, I'm not saying the NBA. I'm just saying a professional, period. Your mindset is everything. So if you don't want it for yourself, don't be mad when like, all right, well, someone who does put the work in starts getting more playing time or whatever it is, right? You got to want it for yourself. You got to put the work in because there's no cheating the grind. Like you can't wake up and if you can't, after a practice, workout, game or whatever it is, and of course, you're always going to feel like you could do more. But if you can't look in yourself in the mirror, or if you could look in yourself in the mirror and it's like, the answer and you ask, did you play your hardest today or did you do everything possible to win from an individual? You can't control everybody else, but did you do everything that you could have to win the game or get better today in practice? And you gotta be real with yourself at that day, because you gotta wake up with yourself, man. That's it.
Preach. Love it, man. This is it. Ladies and gentlemen, the young people, we have a few young ballers that listen to this show. I know some coaches out here that make their team listen to it. And this is a man who's walked the walk, talked the talk, and been there and done that. And he's telling you, look at yourself in the mirror and be honest with yourself. This is called feedback, people. If you're not willing to take feedback and have Coach Boeheim tell you you're out of shape and you don't shoot the ball well enough, Kris Joseph can walk out of that meeting and say, well, F Coach Boeheim, he's crazy, he's tripping, or he can go, maybe I need to look at myself and put some work in, right? And for young people, and regardless, to be honest, Kris, like if these guys don't make it to Division I or pro ball, they'll learn so much about life. You know what I mean? Exactly. And that'll translate into whatever business they choose, whatever they in the relationships they're in, and that's the important stuff, right? So thank you for sharing that, man.
No doubt, man. No doubt.
Super aware of your time, and I don't want to brush past like anyone making it in the NBA, but just give us a quick thought about your overall pro career. And you talked about at the start of the show, you feel like body-wise and mind-wise, basketball on the playing side is sort of coming to an end, and you're starting to get into the coaching thing and figuring stuff out. But man, from smoke meat poutine to the NBA, man, I mean, how about that? Crazy, right?
Amazing. I couldn't have, I wrote, in my sixth grade, whatever it is, yearbook, like that I wanted to, again, I said I wanted to become a professional basketball player. And, you hear the stories all the time. You tell your teacher this, and your teacher's like, well, that's not so realistic. Why don't you try doing, or why don't, I'm like, well, damn. All right, well, listen, lady, this is what I put in my thing. I'm not changing it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I didn't change it. And even that, so for that to happen,
like in your end of the year write up, you mean like, this is a great school year. My future goal is to make the play pro ball. Ah, nice. Yeah, you did.
Yep. And she was like, I'm not sure. Like, but what do they know? And that's another thing. Like, man, just can't listen to anybody else at the end of the day. You got to believe. But so it's from that to, draft night, being home with my family and friends and hearing my name called, surreal at the time. Before, I didn't have kids at that time, but like that was the best moment of my life till I had one, my daughter, then my son, then it's getting drafted. You know what I mean? Like those things, like it was amazing. Like all the work that I had put in, you're just thinking about all the damn suicides you ran since you were 9 years old, and the 6 a.m. workouts. We're thinking, why am I doing this at 6? We can do this at 10. Like, let me get my sleep. All this paid off, and like now I just heard my name called by, at the time, Adam Silver. He was the assistant commish, so he was the one that actually called my name. And speaking of Doc Rivers, and now I'm going to a place where I'm going to be, shoulder to shoulder with my guy, Paul Pierce, him, T-Mac, Melo, those are the kind of like guys who I model my game after in a sense. Paul Pierce, real laid back, seem like, but a killer. You know what I mean? Like, get to a spot, don't get sped up, step back, mid-range, like, super dope. And I'm like, damn, this is like one of my favorite players ever, like who I model my game after, and I'm about to be playing with him.
I can see that, actually. That makes sense.
It's surreal.
I see it. Yeah.
Surreal.
And
moment,
the Boston
man.
Celtics
like,
of all teams,
man.
And
exactly, Boston Celtics. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. It was nuts. And so a dream come true, to say the least. Definitely like a literal dream come true. I literally had dreamt as a kid at Syracuse, whoever playing like on teams with T-Mac and playing with Tim Duncan, like these dreams where I'm like, I wake up and I'm like, damn, that was fake, huh? That was a dream. That sucks. But that was fun. I was on the same court as them for a little while, but then to actually be there and practicing at that point, it was Rondo. There was this is the year Ray Allen left, so it was Rondo, KG, and Paul Pierce, Jeff Green, Jason Terry, Barbosa was on that team, Darko Milicic, Chris Wilcox, Courtney Lee, Jeff Green, what's my boy name? Brandon Bass, Avery Bradley. Avery Bradley was on that team. So we had a nice little team, gift and a curse at the same time, because, there was no minutes for me at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's where I got assigned to the D-League team in Maine. And even that, like, super dope experience, right? I was able to play. I did well. But just the brotherhood, and like I said in the beginning of the show, like, I'm not hard to get along with. And I realized that because, like, everybody was riding for me. So I know Paul Pierce would be watching my D-League games, and he would be, giving me feedback afterwards. Or the next day I come back to Boston. It's like a 2.5, 3 hour drive between Maine and where we practiced at. So I'd go play a game, then drive back to my apartment right there in Waltham, Mass, where the practice facility was, and we'd play 1-on-1 before every practice. And I'm still till at that time, I'm like, I can't believe I just played 1-on-1 against Paul Pierce and almost won.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
He got
almost.
some buckets.
You know what I'm saying? He got some buckets, 7-3, 7-4. Like, I was there. I was close. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of course, he starts calling phantom fouls at some points, Okay. But, yeah, no. So that was a dream come true, man. And having to, kids would be like, kids who have no idea, right? They would be like, so why did you leave the NBA? And I keep telling them, like, trust me, I wouldn't have left if the decision was mine. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't have. That's the best place to be. World-class organizations, like just everything, the hotels you stay at, the way you travel, like, it was amazing, man. And just to still have relationships with some of those guys, like a guy like Jeff Green, who to me is probably top 5 nicest people in the world. You know what I mean? Like, give you the clothes off his back, the shoes off his feet, like, no questions, no hesitation. I still get to talk to him. I could have conversations with Melo. You know what I mean? Like, just being, so it's dope. And Melo's obviously a Q's connect, but like, just, having those
Still
connections
there.
and building those relationships. You know what I mean? It was super dope for me. Like I said, it was a dream come true. You see these guys, you play with them on a video game. You see them, win championships, and to be, on the same court with them, being able to have conversations and pick their brain. Amazing.
You used a word that has been mentioned many times on this show, and it's relationships. And through the game of basketball, and you're going to find this for yourself. I mean, you've already mentioned it, but as you get into coaching, you're going to tap into those relationships even more. What am I doing wrong? What should I do here? What do you think about this? How do we guard the pick and roll here, right? And in the end, the wins are nice, the championships, the awards, but isn't it about the people we meet and the connections we make and the bonds that we build along the way, right? Those relationships are, you can meet up. You may be able to text Paul Pierce one day. He's in town. You guys go for a beer. 20 years later, and just like it was yesterday, right? So,
exactly.
Thanks for touching on that. And how beautiful basketball lets you travel the world, man. Like putting a little orange ball through hoop and you're going all over the world. Like
France, I was in France, Italy. So, I'm very grateful. Like, I'm grateful, like, for everything, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wake up, and I know it's like cliche, but I literally wake up and like some days, and you know how cold it gets in Montreal, right? Or it could get anywhere in Canada, most places in Canada. But I'm talking about some days, like, I'll just go outside on the balcony with my shorts and a t-shirt on in the winter with some boots on, and just so I could feel the cold a little bit. I'm just grateful for like waking up, let me feel something. I'm grateful to be alive, you know what I mean? So like I'd wake up in France and I'd wake up and I'm like, wow, like this is amazing. Like I go to the Eiffel Tower to the, I'm like I would never ever I would never go to France. I don't believe before you go to France or you go to Paris, like you're going on vacation to Cabo or something like that. You're going somewhere else. You know what I mean? You're not going to Brindisi, Italy, in the south of Italy for a vacation, but I was able to go there and play for 10 months and bring my fiance with me. And like, my son, he wasn't born out there, but that's where, he might as well be Italian. You feel me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, this is amazing, man. So, I'm just very grateful for these opportunities. I played in France more than I played anywhere else, but every year that I went there, it was like, I'm happy. Like, I'm so grateful that this game has brought me here and, like, showed me a whole new world. Like, I was able to go to Spain, like just see different cultures, meet different people, friends I've met in France who I played with, who I'm still cool with till this day, who come to Montreal to visit me and things like that. Because we had in 1 year, we were able to build 10 months, really, if you want to get technical, build such a strong relationship. And through basketball, a lot of the people that I know is because my best friends is because of basketball. Like I said, the Kevin, Kenny, and Chris, that crew right there. I ain't gonna say what we called ourselves once again, but them guys, those are my guys, you know what I mean? And because of basketball, they brought me to Sun Youth, and like those are my, we're like this, you know what I'm saying? Like So the relationships that you built through this game and the doors that it helped, open for me, and like being able to play basketball got me this little, the Devo and Kris Joseph show. The relationship that Eric Devendorf and I had, I only played with him 1 year, you know what I mean? But we were so like this, like we connected. He said, you know what? He's like, "Oh, Kris, we're doing a little thing." And I told them that I don't want to do it. They asked me who I want to do it with. And I told them immediately, no hesitation. I said, I want you on the show because your personality, because, you're just a good dude, whatever. So how you treat people is important. I tell these kids all the time, like, it's one thing to be a good basketball player, but it's better thing to be a good human. You know what I mean? Like, I tell them all the time, if all I'm remembered for is for playing basketball, then I'm disappointed, honestly. Like, I'd rather be remembered for, of course, it was cool. I played at Syracuse. I, played overseas and things like that. But if you ever get a chance to meet me and all you remember me for is for playing basketball, it's like, damn, I don't really like that, because I feel like the way, you make people feel is the way they should remember you, and why they should remember you first before, it should be basketball secondary. You know what I mean?
Take him to church. It is Sunday. There we go. These kids need you, man. I love hearing that, man. That gives me a little bit of goosebumps as of, I've got a lot of years of coaching left, but to have that impact in those things, man, you got the right mindset. That's dope to hear.
It.
Let's do some fun questions and get you on your way, yeah?
Yes, sir.
All right, man.
Hey, so we got time, man. Hey, look, there's no rush. We could do for another 4 or 5. What type of time you got? No, let's do it.
I'm not trying to get rid of you. I'm loving this, man. Trust me. I've been excited about this episode for a long time. When you reached out to us, I was like, I hope this guy's willing to do it. And I think it says a lot, because it helps grow the game, man. And I love connecting with people. Now, when you make it out West Coast, you need a gym. Exactly. We got you. You need.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, when's the last time you've been out to Vancouver anyways, man? Probably been a minute.
Well, honestly, I mean, to spend a couple days, it's been a while. Yep. But so like the last time I was there for a couple days was for camp, the Steve Nash camp. This is when I was still like, maybe I was like 15 years old or so. And we had a camp up there. But I recently was there, I think it was last summer, because we played Fraser Valley in the CEBL.
Oh, yeah.
And I have a homeboy who lives from Montreal that lives, matter of fact, funny story, 2 friends that live in Vancouver. One being my guy, Nico Suave, who laughed when I told him I was going to Syracuse. He lives in Vancouver. Yeah. And then my other friend, Sheed, man, he lives out there in BC. So when he came to pick me up, I forget what area Fraser Valley's in, but he came to pick me up, and then exactly. Yeah. And then we drove to Van. Yep. He came, picked me up. We drove to Vancouver, and it was late. Like, so he just showed me a little bit around, told me about all the beaches they have around there and all that. I'm like, I gotta come back, because the vibe out here is immaculate. You know what I mean? Like, I need to come out there.
I can just tell by how you'd love it. All right. Controversial topic here on this show, and you don't roll your eyes. Take it serious, man. How do you feel about ketchup on macaroni?
I am, the ketchup man out here. You know what I mean? Like, I put ketchup on macaroni. I put ketchup on my potatoes. Well, obviously potatoes, but like my girl finds it so weird that I put ketchup on so many things. So I'm a ketchup guy. I put ketchup on my mac and cheese.
A good friend and a colleague. He's the guy, like, we go out for dinner and they don't bring the squeeze tube. They bring you like a little cup, and he's like, "Can I get 5 more of those, please? Is that you?" You just dip in and, But at home, for sure, I got my Heinz and I just go to work. Yeah. All right. Dead or alive, the artist, you got the best seat in the house, you and your fiance or whoever you want to take. What concert are you going to?
5?
Sure. You want to give us?
Give us 5. You said, okay. No, I thought you said. So, okay, honestly.
Okay, are you a hip hop guy?
Yeah, I'm a hip hop guy. I'm a hip hop guy.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but like, if we're checking your Spotify or iTunes, what are some of the artists that are most on rotation for you?
Honestly, man, it's gonna sound cliche, but Jadakiss for sure. That's he's really top 5 dead or alive. So Kiss, Hove, Old Wayne. Recently, now what you would see a lot of Rod Wave. Okay. Right, he's new. A lot of Rod Wave, and who would I say as my 5th? I mean, I think Drake got bumped up. It might be like, who's in my 5th now is Dave, UK guy. Dave, man. Yeah, Dave. Yeah, but Dave is his name. Yep, from the UK. He was in Top Boy, but I'm big on like
him up with a stick, need you the shorter one. You can't short me one in the club with the shortest one. Like the shortest
all hip
one.
hop, like Meek Mill and like I like Slick Rick, like But if you say top 5 people in rotation on my Spotify now, is them 5.
Okay.
Yep.
And who you want to see live?
Live, Michael Jackson.
Yes. Would that not be
Michael
unbelievable?
Jackson. That would be insane. I used to warm up to Michael Jackson. Between him and Whitney Houston. They used to get a lot of play, during my warm-ups, like at Syracuse or wherever, even to this day. Whitney Houston. It calmed me down. I just like the way they sounded, like what it did for me, you know what I mean? But just it's amazing, man. It's man, like
Mike was ahead of his times in terms of like what you see when you go to a concert now, in terms of like performance. Mike was ahead of his time in terms of like what he was doing, man. The dancing, the singing, everything.
Oh
man.
My goodness. Crowd pleaser, no question. Like I'd love to be there and just see someone pass out. Of course, be well. You know what I mean? But like they were passing out. Like I need to leave. I paid for these seats. Now I gotta leave on a stretcher. You know what I mean? Yeah. I hope like this is nuts. He really had that effect, man. Shout out to Mike Jackson, man.
So true. Good call. You got a favorite movie all time?
Favorite movie of all time.
Top 2 or 3.
Boom, Lion King. So I go Lion King. So if we're going 3, Lion King, and I tell you why. Lion King teaches you is more deep. Like it teaches you about family, values, friendship. You know what I mean? So when you look at it deeper than just, my boy came back to take the throne and all that, my boy Simba, like you gotta learn like how valuable friendship is and like accountability, all kind of things like that. It teaches you these life lessons. So Lion King's in my top 3. John Q. Could I tie John Q and Man on Fire in 1 and make that a 1-2 and then 4? Yeah, okay.
Corbin like appreciates that.
And then, of course, I got to throw in one of my favorite movies of all time, for real, is Paid in Full.
Wow. Man, the listeners, I'm mind blown. Wow, The Lion King. Is that Disney? Is that Disney? Is it Disney?
Yeah.
They owe you some money after that review, man. They owe you some money. I love it. So I guess the kids have watched Lion King a few times.
Oh my goodness, countless.
They don't have a
countless
choice.
Amount of times. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Family value, man. It teaches you about family, man. I'm telling you. Yep.
You got it. And you've touched on that a lot this year, or this episode, and I think we know the answers, but who have been some of the most important people in your life up to this point?
My brother, you know what? Honestly, I can't say. We got these matching tattoos. My sisters, I'm the last of 4. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And we got these matching tattoos with DAF on it, and that's like Diamonds Are Forever. And the reason we got those was because we're such a close knit, sibling group. Of course, when you're young,
forever, like family and loyalty, or even rap songs. The Gangstar, J. Cole. Come on now. You know that song?
No. J. Cole. Oh, J. Cole is a killer too. He's cold blooded. Oh man, Kendrick. But we can get into that. But yeah, so we got these tattoos, and the thing is because I was in DC, my brother's in Michigan, my sisters are here in Montreal, and like it was one of those things where we said, let's get matching tattoos, because you know what? No matter the distance, no matter the this, like that, Diamonds Are Forever, and that's what we got done. So my siblings as one, my mother, you know what I mean, and yeah, that's it, man. So my siblings, my mother, man, and they've been the most important people.
Yeah, and you've touched on a lot of people and I think, especially when you're involved in basketball, there's people that come and go, like you've talked about some coaches, but there's always that foundation that's with you, throughout beginning to end.
That's it, man. And that's that. The support was, of course, like she didn't want, like, come on, if my mom don't let me leave to go to DC, like I said, I wouldn't be here today, like talking to you on this platform. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
So
I just hit you with a Gangstar J. Cole song. And it's called Family and Loyalty. So check it out after we get off this episode. I think you'll like the chorus, man. Okay, another huge topic. You finish a training session with some kids. You're getting a little munchy. You're hungry. You maybe break the diet or whatever. What bag of chips are you grabbing?
Miss Vicky salt and vinegar chips.
Off top, huh?
Off top. There's no questions, no debate. Miss Vicky's
That's it.
Salt and vinegar chips. That's it. That's it.
There's been a few Miss Vicky top, like there's 5-6 people that have mentioned that as their goat. Yeah. You get to the point where it like starts to burn the roof of your mouth a little bit, or do you walk away? Yeah.
No, I'm here, the corner of my mouth, all that. It's like, it burns, but I can't stop. You know what I need me? If I'm doing the Miss Vicky's, I gotta have my Simply's lemonade right there next to me. So I need a glass about this size right here.
Yep.
Fill it up. Grab the bag of chips. I don't even grab a bowl because it doesn't matter.
Forget about it. Yeah.
Done. Yeah. It's just let me get the bag and the lemonade and I'm good.
Why waste the dish, right?
Exactly.
If you could go back to any game, good or bad, you could change the result, relive a moment. Is there a game that stands out for you?
That game my sophomore year, I'd say that gave us outright number one and stuff like that. Just because of what was on the line, I was a pivotal part of that team, and that's something I want to relive. Like that moment was dope because I had two of my homeboys in the crowd as well. They were there. That was their first time in Syracuse. That's the game they chose to come to. At the time when they said they want to come to this game, we didn't know how much we would have been riding on that game, going into it. So for them to come out and see me play for the first time, and it be that game, it was dope. If I had a second one, it would obviously be the 6 overtime game. And the way I would recreate it and relive it, I'm a starter as a freshman. I finished the game with 30. You know what I mean? One of those good, one of those joints. But no, definitely the my sophomore year against Villanova.
Not sub you in and put you at the top of the zone and then get lit up, or
no? Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. No. Let's not do that.
It's usually the ones that you for your own personal self, you wouldn't be able to put that into words for someone else, right? Those moments, those special games, right? It's like I can't even explain to you how, upon reflection, it feels, right? So cool that you have some moments like that, man. A couple more, man. Who are some top players to you that stand out all time? I mean, obviously, you've mentioned Paul Pierce playing one-on-one, Kevin Garnett. But for you, is there someone who maybe could be a known name or an obscure name that you got to go up against and you were like, damn, this is a hooper?
Man,
where do I?
Like, no, honestly,
you could pass.
Man, Kevin Durant, no, KD. So this is my, I want to say, I believe this was after my sophomore year. So after I win Big East 6-man, I get invited to Kevin Durant, like small forward camp, and then Paul Pierce in Chicago. But Paul Pierce had this camp going on at the same gym. What's my boy that used to train Jordan? Tim Grover. So his facility or whatever it was, wherever he trains, that's where the camp was being held.
Nice.
So it's Paul Pierce and KD. So like at this camp, we got Harrison Barnes, we had like Kyle Singler, there was Alec Burks. So there was a bunch of guys who went on to have great careers. But KD wasn't there the first like 2 days of camp. But then, like on the third day, he ends up showing up like randomly as we're doing drills. We're playing like one-on-one, different like off closeouts or whatever it is from the top of the key. And man, not to toot my own horn, but I was killing.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going crazy.
Toot away,
like
man.
I'm going crazy. And I'm killing Harrison Barnes at the top of the key, going crazy, like honestly destroying him. And KD walks in as I hit him with a right to left step back 3. And I said some, I was talking my shit a little bit, and I said, "You can't guard me, motherfucker." So I went kind of crazy, but this is just me in my zone now because I'm going crazy. Yeah. So KD walks in, he likes the energy, he suits up right away. He had to get a piece of this action, you know what I mean? And so he subs in, or at some point he's playing after he's done warming up. Man, that man's unbelievable. And this is in 2010, I want to say. After my sophomore year, 2010. Summer 2010, man. KD's with, obviously, at that point, OKC. But, man, like, unguarded, like, I don't know, man. Like, I really don't believe people make him miss. Like he misses a shot. You really don't make him miss. Like, maybe a few times, but, man, KD was super tough to guard. Super tough. Never seen that. Like, it's 6'11", whatever he is. Shoot, like, I'm 6'7", and it's like he's shooting over me. But again, that's another relationship through that camp. You know what I mean? That was one of the dopest moments of my college career, was having KD tweet out that same exact thing that I was just telling you about, like he just had tweeted out, man, I just walked into camp and I just seen Kris Joseph kill whatever it is, Harrison Barnes, and like it was cool because like that was like KD is KD at the end of the day. So we're playing pickup and we play, you know, with the Paul Pierce didn't play, but KD is like young. Like at this point, he's like young. He's still young, but he was like 20, I guess 6, maybe 5, who knows?
Yeah.
And or even 24, whatever it was. And he played pickup with us, and you know, it was like the schoolyard. You know, like who's he gonna pick? And he was like, yeah, I got Kris, and that was like validation. Like, yeah, okay, so he knows I'm one of them. You know what I mean? So that was super dope. So KD is one of the most unguardable guys ever.
Yeah, literally in the history of all basketball. It's insane, man. 2 questions. Is there anyone out there off the top of your head who you'd like to see a Canadian hooper get on a hoops journey that you could help get us on, you think has a good story and would be willing to sit down with us?
100%. Junior Cadogan, if he hasn't been on already.
He hasn't. Would love to.
Junior Cadogan, and why I say that is because, you know, me being in Montreal, I knew about Junior. You know what I'm saying? Like in Toronto. So however it was, there's no social media back then, but you know, the word gets around through the hoops world. And when I first got to, you know, I did some junior national stuff at Humber College in Toronto, and seeing Junior, like, and just seeing that the hype that he had around him when they were saying like he was at 14 or 15 working out with the men's national team and doing well, and like, you know, going head to head with Steve Nash, and like this is when Steve Nash was that man, you know what I mean, playing for whoever it was at that time, Dallas or whoever it may, I can't remember, Phoenix. So yeah, and he has an amazing story too, with whether it's his own dynamic leaving. So he also left to go to high school in the States. Him and Olu Ashaolu, they went to Life Christian or something like that in like Georgia or something. And I think that he has a great story, man, a great hoops journey himself. He left. He you know, OG of like Canada basketball. You know, a young OG, let's just say. You know what I'm saying? Myself, him, there's a couple of us. And I could definitely help get him on the show, and I think he would be great to sit down with.
I've heard nothing but great things about the man.
A dog. You know, he's a dog. That's the type of guy you want on your team, because you know what? If something was to go down, in the sense where there was some extra static, he would be in the middle of that, ready for whatever. Yeah. And then he's a leader. You know what I mean? He's a leader. So that's the type of guy you need.
All right, Junior. Next up, man. All right, man. This has been amazing. You know, we've been going back and forth trying to figure out a time to get this done. But I always find, like you've mentioned many times on this, these little moments that have come up for you, these weird sort of timing things. And I feel like this was just, the timing was perfect on a Sunday morning for us, Sunday afternoon for you to just sit back, go back down memory lane, chop it up,
man,
get to know each other a bit. Yeah. But when you think about everything that you've accomplished, all the places you've been, the games that you've been a part of, the tough practices, if you could do it all again, you would what?
If I could do it all again, I would declare for the draft my sophomore year. If I could do it all over again, I would declare for the draft after that 6th man of the year. But, you know, I was so, at that point, I'm like, you know, Wes Johnson was leaving to go. You know, he was a certified lock for top 5. Andy was leaving. So, like, in a sense where, again, I played a big role on this team, but next year, I'm the man. Like, I'm the one that teams are coming and saying, okay, Kris is on the top of our scout report, and we need to figure out a way to stop him. Right? So there was that. You know, that year we had Dion Waiters coming in, Fab Mello, CJ Fear. We had a good recruiting class coming in. At the same time, you go to college, I want to win a national championship. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking to myself, you know, I have that checkout meeting with Coach Boeheim was much different year 2 than it was year 1. You know, I'm fresh off a 6-man, and like he knows he's losing some guys, and now he has to, you know, speak a little differently. Although I had a good year regardless, you couldn't say nothing bad. I couldn't have had a better year. You know, but he's telling me, like, you know, you come back to school next year, we have Dion, we have CJ, we have Fab, you know, we have a chance to win a national championship, which every year that I was at Syracuse, I think, except for my first year, I believe I was actually top 10 at some point my first year, but like sophomore, junior, senior years, we were number 1, like at some point of the year. So we always had good teams. We were winning basketball games, right? In a very tough Big East conference. It ain't what it is today. That ain't the Big East that I'm used to. So I wanted to win a national championship, so I came back to school. And, I wanted to be the man. I had that in the back of my head. But if I could do it all over again, in retrospect, looking back, I would have left. Leave when your name is super hot. You're fresh off a Big East 6-man. Everybody in the world saying you could have started anywhere. If you think about, okay, he's averaging 11 off the bench, he could have probably averaged 18 as a starter. Like, who knows, or 14, 15 as a starter somewhere. And maybe it would have been viewed a little differently. Ultimately, I still get drafted, but now I get drafted 51st as opposed to potentially being drafted, in the first top 20 after my sophomore year, So if I could do it again, like, I definitely appreciate the journey. I appreciate everything that came along with it. Again, the relationships that were, I feel like because of my 4 years in Syracuse, I have a better relationship with Coach Boeheim than someone who left after their first year. I could pick up the phone and call Coach Boeheim because he understands, like, I gave my all to that program. You know what I mean? Like, he knows what we've been through. He knows what I had to go through, et cetera, within those 4 years. So the love is a little different. He'll love all his guys no matter what. But when I go back to Syracuse today, I can't go. I still feel like a player. I can't go to the mall and not be asked for a picture and an autograph. I'm like, damn, they still want my autograph? Like, I'm like, you want me to put the number on here, 32 or not? They're like, yep, put the number on there. Like, I've met people who, like, shake when they take a picture with me. It's like the love is real. You know what I mean? They're like, you were my favorite player. Like, you might. So it's. I love that. I love the fact that I could go to Syracuse and still feel that genuine love. But I would leave my sophomore year if I could do that all over.
Yeah. I think one of the interesting things too is, like, there's no, what I mean? Like, say you do, what's the guarantee there, right? I mean, it's like life is life, but it's interesting to go back and reflect, right? And we appreciate you, man. And one of the super fun part of doing this podcast, I've been doing it for 2 years now, either connecting with people that we've never met, reconnecting with people we haven't seen in a long time. Some of the people that are my guests have been my best friends or homies for a long time. But someone like yourself, you don't realize what it means to me. I'm a young 24-year-old coach at the Canada Games, watching you hoop. And now, you're a grown man taking care of grown man things, helping grow the game in our country, working with the youth. And we get to sit and chop it up for a couple hours on a podcast. Like that, personally, that means a lot, and that you were willing to just jump in and do it. So from a personal note, we really appreciate it, man. And this has been an amazing episode, and one of the faves for sure for me.
Man, I appreciate you guys, man. It was a no-brainer for me. Once I saw Olga was on there, I'm like, what is, like, I can't remember how I fell up or how I found it or what, but I'm like, Olga is the GOAT. I went to church with her, you know what I mean? Like, this is insane. And she's one of the most fierce coaches in Montreal history, and I was always like, please don't let me have to go to Dawson and be coached by Olga. But, like, I was so scared of her, you know what I mean? But she's the most amazing woman ever, and I have nothing but love and respect for her, and I love what you do with the show, and, like, I had to come on here, no question. I had to, and I just appreciate you guys being as willing to let me come on, man.
Yeah, man. No, we appreciate the love, and keep in mind, I know we'll get Junior on, but we're West Coast guys, so we need more Montreal, we need more Ontario, so if you got names or people that you think, please let us know, man. We want the show to expand across Canada and let people hear people's different journeys through the game that we all love and has meant so much to us,
No doubt, man. I'll definitely do that, man. I know there's a couple Montreal guys that come to mind. Like, if I could get Lou Dort to come on here and talk a little bit, if I could get, a Quincy Guerrier or a, Ben Maturin, who's probably going to declare for the draft, little things like that. You know what I mean? So, obviously being in Montreal and being, a young OG, you know what I mean? A lot of these kids, like, looked up to me. So
weird to say, huh?
Yeah. So,
that's where you're at now, my man.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Oh,
I'm an old head, you're a young OG, yeah.
So I'll try to get on that, man, for real, because I love the show. It was a dope conversation, and like you said, it was fun. It was good to go back down memory lane and think and tell these stories and just think and talk hoops, man. At the end of the day, so it was dope. I appreciate it.
Awesome, man. Shout out to our sponsors, Parkside Brewery and Good Lad Clothing. Mr. Joseph, you can tell you've got a great spirit about you and energy. You're going to impact many people for the rest of your life. And we appreciate the last couple hours of you chopping it up with the Hoops Journey, man. An absolute pleasure on our behalf, and continued success. Get out West Coast, man. We'll take care of you for a couple days, show you around, whatever it is you need. And this is what I love about the game, is just connecting good people through basketball, man. So continued success and health and happiness to you and your family. Much love, my man.
Thanks, man. You too. I appreciate it.
No worries. Catch us on the next episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, download, spread the word, tell a friend to tell a friend. An amazing episode. Everyone enjoy the Final Four this weekend. I'm at the top of my pool right now, and I'm hoping at this point when this episode drops, I'll still be there because I could use the $250. Be well.